Okay, this video is essentially my short overview of installing this Anytone AM/FM radio. It's basically a small CB radio for those of you that want to get into CB. My grandpa sent this to me as a birthday gift. I like it because it's sleek, so I decided to put it in the truck. And still working on where to mount the microphone. I was going to do it here with some command strips because I don't like drilling holes. So this is kind of like a no hole drilling video, but basically I've got 3 command strips that run on the back of here and hold this thing in place. And had the same thing on my other truck, my F250. So this is a 250 2017. What I've done is I've run the power line, which by the way comes factory with an inline fuse, and I've left it there, probably a good idea, and the antenna, and I've run it through this area here. So this is a factory rubber firewall seal where they've run some cable through it, and you'll see on a lot of government vehicles, state trucks and whatnot, they kind of use this as an access point. You'll want to put some silicone around the wires when you're done tapping through, and there are actually 2 layers that you need to go through in that rubber. So basically all I did was I stuck a pocket knife right through there, jammed both the wires through, closed it up, threw some silicone on it, and now it's nice and sealed again. But it's basically a big old circle donut times 2 round pieces. And I'll show you where that ends up. By the way, 2017 F250 Superduties, as you probably know, they have the factory relay switches. There's 6 of them, so I used the first one. And if we come around here, you'll see here's the fuse box right here. There's 2 tabs on the back where my thumb is at. You can actually hold them both down and pull this whole thing out. And when you do that, you'll get access to all of the relay wiring that's in here. And if you look closely, you can really tell where those wires came out. It's kind of difficult to see with the sunlight, but basically I took both those wires out. Anyhow, so there's the relay tag right there. So this tag actually explains what color wire goes to what relay switch. And then there's also a 20 amp B plus and a PTO. Wouldn't mess with those for anything you're doing, just generic lights, CB radio, whatever. And then here's a ground wire from the radio. And I just basically stuck it right on there, and works just fine. So that's kind of the engine. So what I did was I got the power cable and the ground cable coming out here, grounded to here, power through the relay cables that are already there. And then I have the antenna. I dropped it straight down, the coax cable, straight down to the bottom, and I ran it up underneath, used some zip ties, and it goes all the way up, and it actually comes up underneath here inside the double frame. I popped this little tab out right here so I could see what I was doing, but essentially I ran my wire straight out of this little hole here. So this is a Fire Stick No Ground Plane antenna, recognized by the yellow band. All of them leave the factory with the yellow band. And you don't want to cut this cable at all. I actually called and talked to the technicians, had a couple questions, but the bottom line is this cable comes at the length that it needs to be, so you don't want to be trimming it. So you need to find a place on your vehicle, if you're going to use a no ground plane coax, that it's just going to stay. You don't want to, you won't be able to reach the bumper is what I'm saying. You're going to have to put it somewhere back here. So what you'll notice I did was they come factory with these essentially pre-mounted cable mounts, whatever you want to call them. So there's one there. So what I did was I took that off, and then I fabricated my own mount here using a piece of 1/4 inch thick steel that's been basically rubberized, whatever kind of rubber paint they use, so that it's not a conductor. And that might be a better view for you. And I drilled holes to match that down in there, and then I just put this thing back on over top of it so I wouldn't lose it, so it's always there. Nice thing about this is if I want to put my tonneau cover back on, I can just unscrew the antenna right out of the top, cover the tonneau cover, all the contents here stay dry, and I can put this in the back seat and not mess with it. So it does stick up about halfway over the truck, which is what you want. And there's a good old glory flying as well. So yeah, so I used relay switch number 1, and basically not on right now. Turn relay switch 1 on, turn this guy on, and there it is right there. So that's an Anytone. It's AM, FM radio, CB radio. If you're interested in purchasing that, like I said, I just ran it straight up into that rubber. Put some silicone around that area to keep it dry, and went to the battery, and then ran the coaxial cable, whatever you call it, back underneath, and then mounted it back inside here. These aluminum trucks are so thin, I was afraid to put the mount, anywhere up in here, so I like that. I still get some good height out of it, I think, and I was able to get the SWR on 1 and 40 for CB radio guys. I got that SWR down to 1.2 on 1 and 40 equal, using this with a no ground plane. So for the newer Ford trucks, that's kind of what I recommend, is a no ground plane antenna from whomever. So yep, comment with questions, ask me what I can do to explain any better if I missed something, or I guess if I jacked something up, you'll probably tell me about that too. All right, go Navy.